Hi folks, the next little job I'm about to do on the Civic are the detent springs. These springs are what would self-center the gearbox between sort of forward and backward, so say first to second, third to fourth and fifth to sixth. Hence those three throws have three individual springs, and on the end of those springs are a little ball. You can see I have brand new ones there, and basically they'll give you the click, you know, there's first, up over a wee hump as the ball follows out of it, into between first and second, and then click over back into second. These do wear over time, just like any spring. They will become weaker. So you'll see the springs I have here are the Speedfactory upgraded ones. They're I think 30 something percent stiffer than the OE ones, so they'll hopefully give it a wee bit more of a notchy stiffer feel, which I don't mind. I've got the hybrid racing shifter assembly plus the cables to go with, so it's already quite heavy, so I don't really mind that. I prefer it just to be very positive in changing gears. To go with the springs there, I've already mentioned the new shifter balls there. New washers to go beneath the bolts that go through, and if that's coming through on camera, that's actually a hollow bolt. It'll show you all of this whenever I'm installing them. Quite a straightforward job to do directly, however you have to get a few bits and bobs out of the way to get access to where these bolts are on top of the gearbox. I'll jump now over onto underneath the bonnet and I'll show you where these bolts are located. Hi folks, you'll see I'm in the engine bay of the Civic at the minute. On the UK car, the passenger side, at the left hand side of the car, looking down at the gearbox mount there. Basically these three nuts bolts that hold the detents in place are beneath this bracket here, the one I've painted silver. So really, to get access to these you have to take this gearbox mount out and get it out of the way to give yourself access. And just to show you, if I go down beneath the car, I don't know how well that's coming out. Yep, you should be able to see that. You can see I have the trolley jack with a block of wood just to support the gearbox, so stave it falling too much, and whenever I do go to need to line up the bolts a bit, it also helps to adjust the gearbox, lift it, drop it, move it about, etc, etc. So I'll crack on with getting the engine mount out and move on from there. And apologies in advance if the noise is a bit off-putting. It's a wee bit of a windy day today, but I'll try my best to get this done anyway. Hi folks, to get access into the detent spring bolts, as mentioned, the engine mount has to come out, or the gearbox mount has to come out. That's it, roughly as it sits in the car. Three bolts there on the side wall just to give you your bearings there, and then the three bolts you can see on top of the gearbox. Those are two studs attached to the gearbox, and then there's a bolt that runs through there, and there's also a big long bolt that runs through the middle of it. So that's out, giving me access. So now that that's cleared out, I'll jump back into the engine bay and show you the access in there now. There we go folks, you'll see the access I have now. The battery obviously locates here, that's been removed, and the tray to go with. Gives you a wee bit more room to get into the long bolt that runs through the engine mount along here. So with that removed and the engine mount all out, you can see the top of the gearbox, and you'll see the three detent spring bolts there. Basically it's a case of removing one at a time, and there's a spring and ball beneath the bolt. You may well need one of the wee pencil magnets that commonly come with screwdrivers that have the detachable ends, just to sort of fish out the wee ball and stuff like that there. But before I loosen anything, I'm going to clean out just to see if any dirt and sort of debris going back into the gearbox. I'm going to get some brake cleaner and a wee brush, give them a clean before I remove anything. Hi folks, that is the first detent spring bolt and ball out. This is pretty much how it sits within the gearbox, just to show you when you are removing it. Obviously the bolt you can see from the top. As you lift that out, you'll see the spring, and the spring actually come out with the bolt, so that was handy enough. And I could see down at the bottom the wee sort of ball bearing style thing was there. To get the ball out, I used a wee small magnetic tool, just one of these wee cheap screwdrivers generally come with them that have the interchangeable bits on them, and that managed to fish out the ball a-okay. So what I'm going to do now is build up the new parts, set them alongside just for comparison, and then obviously put them into the gearbox. Hi folks, there's a little comparison between the old U-spring and the new one, and you can see the length is obviously that bit more. Naturally the old spring there is used, so it's going to shrink down a bit with use and age. It does give you some comparison. So now time to put the first one in and crack on with the other three and get them done. That's the second detent spring and assembly out now, and you can see I have the second one, the new one, all set up together. Just as a note, don't forget the washers there. As you'll see in the previous clip there, I didn't have the washer out. When I went to put in the new one, I seen that the washer was still sitting there, so I've obviously replaced those washers too. So get this one thrown in and then onto the third. Okay, that is the third detent spring set up and ready to go. One thing I did notice, you might see in the end of the third one, you can see the spring is within the bolt there. It's pretty much level or totally recessed up inside the bolt, where this one, the new spring, that's it up against the head and that's stopping, so you can see the sort of length difference in the spring, which must be putting on that wee bit extra pressure, and that's perhaps where the extra tension comes from. But time to get this third one put in and then double check the torque on all the bolts, and that should be us in business. Hi folks, you can see there that is the 3 detent springs installed. I've torqued them up to the factory setting, which is 16 foot-pounds. So they're installed, so it's now time to start putting the gearbox mount back in place. If I remember right, the last time I struggled with this on the side there, where there was the 3 bolts here, getting them all lined up, but hopefully I don't have any issues this time. So anyway, nail the car back together, go for a test drive, and fingers crossed it's that bit tighter. Okay, that is pretty much everything put back together. Now, as you can see, engine mount, battery, etc. is all back in. Time now to go for a quick test drive and make sure everything is a-okay. Hopefully this gives me a good positive feel and self-centering effect on the gear linkages and shifter. I'll go out for a drive now and obviously add in at the end of the video how it feels. Hi folks, that's me returned after a quick test drive in the car. Everything seems absolutely spot on with the car. Really good job, worth doing. Those detent springs feels significantly firmer, this shifter now. Certainly I would imagine when on track, when you're using a bit of vigour to change gear, will be absolutely perfect, and I guess there'll be a level of brake in on the springs as well. But certainly very good job, very happy with them. Fingers crossed I should have no more shifter problems. But yeah, hopefully that video was of use to somebody trying to fit them, or even considering fitting them yourself. Certainly a DIY job. Most people might struggle or might not be confident about doing the gearbox stroke engine mount as well, but it's certainly a DIY job, so worth a go. Okay folks, all the best, bye.